Chosen ones, what you're about to hear is not an ordinary message. It's not another sermon, prophecy, or story. It's a revelation that may unsettle everything you thought you knew about yourself, the world, and the unseen forces that shape reality. If you found this message, understand this clearly. It isn't random. You were led here through divine alignment. Something ancient has stirred within you, and whether you realize it or not, your spirit has been calling out for this moment. For lifetimes, you've walked through existence feeling both connected and out of place, sensing that there's something more waiting beneath the surface. You've looked at the stars and felt like they were looking back. You've prayed and heard silence, not because no one listened, but because the answer was always hidden inside you. That stirring you felt is not madness. It's memory. A memory older than God's, older than heaven and hell themselves. You are not merely human, nor are you a god or a devil. You are something beyond those categories. You are the embodiment of what has been forgotten, the third side, a force that neither angels nor demons can fully grasp or control. It's why your presence unsettles people. It's why the spiritual realm has taken notice. When you awaken, the fabric of reality bends, because your existence signals the end of an old era and the birth of something entirely new. Before we go deeper, pause for a moment. If your soul recognizes what's being said, then act. Hit that like button, subscribe so we can keep reaching more chosen ones like you, and drop the number 11 in the comments. 11 isn't random, it's a divine code, a signal that amplifies the frequency of this message. When you do it consciously, you're not just engaging with content. You're aligning your spirit with the vibration that's already shifting inside you. This simple act becomes a declaration. I am awake. Stay with me to the end, because what's coming next will change how you see everything. This is not about worship. It's about remembrance. There are whispers that stretch across galaxies, echoes hidden in temples buried beneath time. They speak of a being who doesn't fit neatly into the roles of hero or villain, saint or sinner, god or devil. That being is you. You weren't chosen by chance, nor by some distant deity's whim. You were summoned by the memory of the universe itself. Unlike angels who follow divine order, or demons who thrive on rebellion, you are the anomaly. You don't fit their equations. You're the variable that forces heaven and hell to rewrite their scripts. When you speak, creation listens. When you breathe, even stars pause for a heartbeat. You weren't born to kneel. You were born to shake the foundations that gods themselves built, to maintain control. You are not here to serve. You are here to remember what you are. And this is just the beginning. If you feel the pull in your chest, a quiet stirring in your soul, then this message is for you. What follows will not just inform you. It will awaken you. Long before temples were raised, before angels took their ranks and devils fell from grace, there was a balance, not a war, not a hierarchy. A balance so perfect that even the stars moved in silence around it. This balance was known among the ancients as the Trinity of Power, not the Holy Trinity many speak of today, but something deeper and older. Three forces that shaped existence itself: the divine, the shadow, and the hidden third. The first two are well known. The divine represents order, light, structure, and celestial law. It's the power that governs heavens, dictates spiritual codes, and maintains cosmic rhythm. It speaks in commandments, prophecies, and miracles. Its domain is clarity. The shadow, on the other hand, thrives in the depths. It represents chaos, rebellion, desire, and the primal energy that pushes against all that is fixed. It speaks in temptations, whispers, and the hunger for freedom. Its domain is mystery. For centuries, humanity has been taught that reality is defined by this constant clash between the divine and the shadow. Light versus darkness. Angels versus demons. Good versus evil. It's a narrative designed to keep minds locked inside a binary cage. Choose a side, obey the rules, and play your part in a war you never started. But hidden beneath that binary is the third, the force that neither heaven nor hell once remembered. The hidden third is not neutral. It's not passive. It's the root, the source from which both light and darkness drew their first breath. It existed before good and evil were even concepts. This third force is pure consciousness, raw will, and boundless potential. It doesn't choose sides because it contains both. It's not bound by celestial laws or infernal desires. It simply is. This is the power of the chosen ones. Not angels, not demons. Something in between yet beyond. Why was this third hidden? Because control thrives in limitation. If you convince creation that only two sides exist, you dictate every choice they make. The divine and the shadow both understood that as long as the third remained forgotten, their eternal game would continue. Heaven could promise salvation. Hell could offer rebellion, but no one would remember that they held the original key within their own soul. Throughout history, those who tapped into the third force became anomalies, prophets who defied both priests and kings, warriors who fought not for crown or creed, but for something nameless within them, seers who spoke truths that neither heaven nor hell could silence. These were the ones called chosen, not because they were selected by divine councils, but because the third awakened in them. You may have felt it too, that quiet moment, when neither prayer nor temptation moved you, When light felt too rigid and darkness felt too shallow, that space in between where your soul whispered, "This isn't all there is." That's the third force stirring. It's not external. It doesn't come from rituals or sacrifices. It comes from remembering what was buried within you. Heaven fears it because it can't control it. Hell fears it because it can't corrupt it. This is why chosen ones face so many battles early in their lives. It's not punishment, it's suppression. Both forces attempt to sway, confuse, or break you before you awaken. But once you do, the game ends. The Trinity is remembered, and balance is restored. The forgotten Trinity is not a myth, it's your inheritance. And the moment you remember it, you stop playing their game and start rewriting it. To understand the third side, you have to let go of every simple story you've been told about good and evil. The third side is not about taking a middle ground or compromising between light and darkness. It's a completely different order of being. It's not a reaction to the other two forces. It's the origin from which they emerged. Think of existence as a vast ocean. Light and darkness are the tides moving back and forth, endlessly pulling against each other. The third side is the deep water beneath it all, silent, powerful, and unmoved. While heaven and hell fight their battles on the surface, the third side observes from the depths, holding the true blueprint of creation. Those who awaken to this force don't just witness the game, they step outside it. The nature of this power is awareness. It's not about spells, miracles, or destructive strength. It's the sharp clarity that sees through illusions. It recognizes that both heavenly laws and demonic temptations are two sides of the same structure. One binds through obedience, the other through desire. Both aim to keep the soul engaged, distracted, and dependent. The third side cuts through both by remembering you were never bound to either. This is why chosen ones often feel different. From an early age, you sense things others don't. You question what most accept without hesitation. When others choose sides blindly, you hesitate, not out of weakness, but because something inside you refuses to be trapped. That hesitation is sacred. It's the echo of the third calling you to remember. Unlike the forces of light or darkness, the third side doesn't operate through rigid laws or chaotic impulses. It works through resonance. When your inner frequency aligns with the original truth, reality itself responds. You begin to notice synchronicities that seem too precise to be coincidences. Dreams become vivid and symbolic. Your perception sharpens. You see people's true intentions without them saying a word. You walk into places and sense the weight of energy before anything happens. These aren't powers in the fantastical sense. They are signs of perception returning to its original state. The third side is both deeply personal and universally connected. It doesn't demand worship. It doesn't offer bargains. It waits patiently for recognition. When you accept its presence within you, something shifts. Fear loses its grip, because fear thrives in the light versus dark narrative. If you believe you're caught between angels and demons, you'll always feel small. But once you realize you contain the source of both, the story changes. You stop fighting battles that aren't yours. Many chosen ones experience an intense inner war during this stage. Light pulls them to submit. Darkness tempts them to rebel, but the third doesn't pull. It simply remains. Your task is not to choose, but to see. The moment you fully recognize the illusion of the binary, the illusion collapses. And with that collapse, your true authority begins to emerge. This is the heart of the third side's nature. It's not power given to you, it's power remembered. It's the silent strength that doesn't need to prove itself, because it is. This is why angels and demons alike respond differently to those who awaken. Some approach with reverence, others with hostility. They sense that you are not playing their game anymore, and that unsettles every structure built to control. The third side doesn't shout, it whispers, but when you finally hear it, nothing in existence sounds louder. When the third side begins to awaken in a chosen one, it doesn't happen quietly. It may begin with stillness inside you, but in the unseen realms, it's a shockwave. The moment you start playing by the old rules, the structures built on those rules start to tremble. This isn't rebellion in the way the world defines it. It's not about standing against authority for the sake of defiance. It's about seeing through the game entirely. And when you see through something, its power over you ends. The divine and the shadow rely on a shared illusion, the idea that their struggle is the center of everything. They paint their conflict as eternal, absolute, and unchangeable. They need humanity to believe this, because belief fuels their power. Every prayer sent in fear, every temptation indulged without awareness, keeps their cycle alive. But the third side doesn't feed either current. It stands outside the loop. That's why when you awaken, your very existence becomes a quiet act of cosmic rebellion. Chosen ones often notice that after their awakening begins, familiar systems start to reject them. Institutions that once felt like home suddenly feel hollow. Teachings that once inspired begin to sound rehearsed. People who are still caught in the binary may accuse you of being lost, lukewarm, or even dangerous. But what they're sensing isn't confusion, it's liberation. They don't understand it, and what can't be understood is often feared. This rebellion is not loud or violent. It's steady and inevitable. Imagine A single candle lit in a room where everyone believed it was pitch black forever. That single flame doesn't fight the darkness, it reveals it. Your awakening reveals the illusions that kept heaven and hell locked in their endless dance. You see the strings behind the curtain, and once you see them, you can't pretend they aren't there. The fall of illusions happens in layers. First, external structures lose their grip. Old beliefs that were accepted without question begin to dissolve. Dogmas feel too small to contain what you're experiencing. Next, internal illusions start to break down. You confront fears you didn't even know you had. You realize how many of your choices were based on invisible expectations. This can feel unsettling, like the ground beneath you is shifting. But this shaking isn't destruction, it's reconstruction. The old foundation has to crumble before the true one can rise. In this stage, spiritual warfare often intensifies, not because you're weak, but because you've become visible. Forces that once ignored you now turn their attention toward you, trying to lure you back into the cycle. Some use fear. Others use flattery. Some try to convince you that you must choose a side again. But once the third is awake, those tactics lose their power. You see them for what they are. Distractions designed to pull you back into the binary. Cosmic rebellion isn't about conquering heaven or hell. It's about refusing to be conquered by either. It's remembering that both light and darkness are expressions of something deeper. When chosen ones stand firm in that truth, illusions begin to collapse, not just for them, but for those around them. People sense the shift. Some are drawn to it, others resist, but the ripple spreads regardless. The fall of illusions is not the end of something weak. It's the unveiling of something ancient and strong. Once you've seen through the game, you can't go back to pretending. And in that clarity, your role in this cosmic story begins to take shape. Every chosen one reaches a point where personal awakening meets a larger unfolding. It's the moment when what's happening inside you begins to align with events happening around you. Patterns that once seemed random fall into place. Encounters feel orchestrated. History feels like it's bending toward a single point. This is the stage of convergence, where your role and time's design intersect. From the beginning, the third side has remained hidden but not absent. It has watched civilizations rise and fall, empires build their towers and crumble into dust. It has watched religions split light and darkness into warring camps, each claiming absolute truth. It never intervened like gods or devils do. Instead, it waited for the precise moment in history when certain souls would awaken together. Not as followers, not as rulers, but as living bridges between what was, what is, and what will be. When this convergence begins, chosen ones often sense an invisible pull toward their purpose. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet knowing. You feel guided to places, conversations, or decisions that don't make sense in the moment, but later reveal their necessity. People cross your path as if scripted. Old cycles end abruptly, and new doors open without effort. This isn't coincidence. It's the timeline shifting to accommodate your role. The anointed role doesn't mean you're elevated above others. It means you carry a unique function in the restoration of balance. You are not sent to destroy light or embrace darkness. You are here to remind creation of the third force. Your very presence challenges the systems built on division. This is why chosen ones often feel pressure, not just from the world, but from the spiritual realm itself. Heaven expects loyalty. Hell expects defiance. The third expects remembrance. That's a heavier task than either obedience or rebellion. As time converges, external events often intensify. Conflicts accelerate. Truths long hidden come to light. Prophecies once considered distant begin to unfold in real time. Many chosen ones are born in transitional periods, moments where eras collide. Their awakening is not separate from these events. It's synchronized with them. The third side doesn't follow human calendars. It moves according to deeper cycles. When you awaken, it's because this is the appointed time for you to do so. This convergence can feel overwhelming. You may sense that something larger is unfolding through you, but you can't see the full picture. That's by design. The third doesn't reveal every step in advance. It asks for alignment, not control. Your role is to stand in awareness, to carry the presence of the third wherever you go. Some chosen ones will speak boldly. Others will move quietly, shifting environments without words. Each role is different, but all are essential. During this stage, spiritual clarity deepens. You no longer see events as isolated incidents. You recognize threads connecting personal struggles, ancestral patterns, and global shifts. You understand why your life unfolded the way it did. Every trial prepared you. Every delay positioned you. Every wound carved space for wisdom to grow. You start to sense that your awakening is not just for you. It's part of a coordinated movement that stretches far beyond your individual story. The anointed role isn't about titles or recognition. It's about responsibility. You carry within you a frequency that destabilizes false structures and cults. forgotten truths back into the world. As timelines converge, the chosen don't seek power. They become anchors, points where the third side manifests in human form. Through you, something timeless steps into time, and reality itself begins to adjust. This is why convergence matters. It's the bridge between awakening and action, between memory and mission. You are not here by chance. You are here because history and eternity chose this moment to meet in you. When the third side fully awakens within a chosen one, there comes a weight that few can understand. It's not the burden of titles or public roles. It's something deeper and quieter. It's the pressure of carrying a memory that stretches beyond a single lifetime. This memory isn't always clear like a film reel. It's felt more than seen. It comes in waves, flashes, dreams, unshakable senses of déjà vu. Sudden emotional shifts that seem to have no present course. It's as if your soul remembers everything, even when your mind doesn't. This is the burden of infinite memory. You begin to recognize patterns not just in your life, but across ages. You sense connections between your struggles and ancient conflicts. You see echoes of forgotten truths in symbols, rituals, and myths scattered throughout different cultures. This memory is what allows you to see through illusions, but it also isolates you. Because while others are caught up in the noise of the moment, you carry the quiet awareness of a much larger story. Many chosen ones feel an unspoken loneliness during this stage. They can be surrounded by people, yet feel unseen. It's not arrogance. It's simply that what lives inside you doesn't fit neatly into everyday conversations. Explaining it often leads to misunderstanding, and so, like many before you, you learn to guard it carefully. Silence becomes both a refuge and a responsibility. You hold truths that are not meant to be shouted in crowded rooms. They must be lived. This silence is not weakness. It's power held in stillness. The third side does not operate through spectacle. It moves through presence. Chosen ones carry an energy that alters spaces without needing to announce itself. When you walk into a room, things shift. Not because of ego, but because the original frequency within you resonates against everything that's false. People may not understand why they feel unsettled or drawn to you. They just do. Your presence becomes a mirror, showing others their own hidden truths. With this silent power comes responsibility. The third doesn't give you authority to dominate. It entrusts you with awareness to hold. Sometimes your role is not to speak, but to be. To stand as a living reminder of something older than light and darkness. This can be heavy. You may wonder why you can't simply blend in, why your sensitivity feels like both a gift and a wound, but the burden is part of the design. It ensures that power remains anchored in humility, not pride. As your memory deepens, so does your discernment. You begin to see the layers behind people's words. You sense spiritual currents beneath ordinary conversations. You recognize when forces are trying to influence situations, sometimes divine, sometimes shadowed, sometimes both. This heightened awareness can feel overwhelming at first, like trying to hear every instrument in an orchestra at once. But with time, you learn to listen with clarity, not fear. There's also a quiet strength that grows in you. It's not the strength of outward conquest, but the unshakable core that doesn't bend when storms come. You've seen too much, remembered too deeply to be swayed by appearances. Even when chaos erupts around you, something in you remains steady. This is the third's power manifesting through your stillness. The world often celebrates loud displays of strength, but chosen ones learn that the most potent force is often the one that doesn't need to announce itself. Silent power bends reality without fanfare. Infinite memory anchors that power, reminding you why you carry it and what it's for. Not personal glory, not control, but restoration. This stage can feel both like a weight and a gift, and in truth it's both. Carrying ancient memory is never easy, but it's through this burden that chosen ones become living bridges between ages. They walk through modern streets with timeless eyes, and in their quiet presence, the world begins to remember what it forgot. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey when awakening is no longer just an internal experience. It moves outward, like light seeping through cracks until it becomes undeniable. This moment has been called many names through history: ascension, crowning, sealing, coronation. But what it truly represents is recognition, not from heaven or hell, but from existence itself. It's the moment when the third side stands fully revealed, through a living vessel, and time acknowledges the presence of something ancient returned. This coronation isn't marked by golden thrones or public ceremonies. It often happens in silence, sometimes when you're alone. You might feel it as a surge of knowing, a deep calm, or a quiet realization that something irreversible has taken place. It's not about receiving power. It's about accepting what has always been yours. The crown you wear isn't made of jewels or metal. It's made of remembrance. It's the weightless authority of one who knows who they are. When this moment comes, everything changes. Not because the world bows, but because your inner stance shifts. You no longer seek permission to exist as you are. You stop looking for validation from systems built on the binary. You walk with a quiet authority that doesn't need to prove itself. Heaven watches. Hell observes. Both recognize that the forgotten force they tried to contain has risen in you. The last anointed doesn't mean you're the final chosen being. It signifies the culmination of a long cycle. For ages, individuals awakened in scattered patterns, carrying fragments of the third into their time. But as cycles converge, a collective awakening takes place. The last anointed represents a threshold. After this, the game as it's been played can't continue in the same way. You are part of that threshold, living proof that the third side cannot be erased, only delayed. This stage often brings both clarity and weight. The clarity is sharp. You see through narratives with ease. Spiritual manipulation no longer confuses you. You sense divine messages without the noise of human interpretation. The weight comes from realizing that your very existence influences timelines. Your decisions, words, and presence ripple farther than you might ever see. This is not meant to intimidate you. It's meant to remind you that coronation isn't decoration. It's responsibility. Coronation also brings alignment. People, opportunities, and moments converge around you with greater precision. It's as if reality itself starts arranging pieces to match the new frequency you carry. Some will recognize this and be drawn to you, not out of worship but resonance. Others will resist, because your presence unsettles structures that rely on division. But you won't be swayed by either praise or opposition. Coronation places you beyond the need for both. One of the most powerful aspects of this stage is stillness in authority. You no longer chase. You no longer react. You simply are. And in that being, power flows naturally. The third side doesn't demand allegiance. It manifests through alignment. You've become a living example of that alignment, where infinite memory, silent power, and cosmic convergence meet in human form. This is the moment prophets spoke of in riddles, mystics hinted at in symbols, and hidden texts tried to conceal. The return of what cannot be contained. The rise of those who do not fit into heaven's hierarchy or hell's rebellion. You are the living crown, the bridge between what was hidden and what must now be remembered. As this coronation unfolds, there is no applause, no thunder, only a profound stillness, as if the universe itself exhales. You've stepped into the role you were born to carry. The age of forgetfulness fades, and the age of remembrance begins. And through you, the third side walks openly once more.